Welcome to Microcomputer Operating Systems. This course focuses on basic Linux skills. Skills learned in this class will be used again in other courses. Be sure to review the syllabus and emails from your instructor. The course is broken up into 16 weeks. You may follow the flow of the course by clicking on the appropriate link or using the Canvas student app and following the modules section on your mobile device. Clicking on the weekly summary will display the objectives, assignments, and resources used for the week. Please try and have the chapter read before proceeding with assignments. I will proceed with a brief overview of Chapter 1. The required text for this course is a Linux Plus and LPIC-1 Guide to Linux Certification, 5th edition. You'll see the ISBN number on the screen. Chapter 1. An introduction to Linux. So this chapter is going to explain the purpose of an operating system, outline the Linux kernel, describe the origins of the Linux operating system, identify the characteristics of various Linux distributions and where to find them, explain the common uses of Linux in industry today. The purpose of an operating system is to control the hardware of a device, such as the central processing unit, RAM, networking cards, video cards. It also needs to control applications. Examples of an application: Chrome, Microsoft Word, games. In the enterprise world, software or applications might be better known as servers, web servers, DNS servers, email servers. It is all software that an operating system needs to help control. A device driver is a special piece of software that enhances a piece of hardware, such as an NVIDIA graphics card. Operating systems also provide a user interface. Examples of a user interface: the touch screen on your smartphone, a mouse-driven computer, or even text entered from commands on the keyboard. You are more familiar with touchscreen and graphical user interfaces, most likely. A graphical user interface, also known as a GUI, G-U-I, is pictured on the left. On the right is a picture of a command line interface, or CLI. Most IT professionals, server administrators, will likely have to deal with the CLI at some point. While this course will deal with both, we're going to focus on the CLI. This will help us gain skills for troubleshooting and critical thinking skills. A kernel. It is the core of an operating system. It does not have any user interface. So for a computer to work, a user interface must be added to a kernel. That could either be a graphical or command line interface. The Linux kernel. Have you used it before? You may have and not even known. If you have an Android phone, it uses the Linux kernel. Other devices that you may use day to day and not know run Linux, possibly your home Wi-Fi router, firewalls, a DVR system for security cameras, even browsing the internet. Many of the servers that host websites run Linux. Where did Linux come from? A college student named Linus Torvalds developed the Linux kernel in 1991 as a graduate project. He did not imagine it would grow and impact the world as it has done today. It was simply a school project. He released it under the GPL license, meaning the source code must always be free. You need to look at page 19 in your book and do thorough reading on the GPL and the GNU, or also pronounced GNU, project. The Linux kernel, you might see examples of 5.15.40 and an optional number at the end. A breakdown of the versions. The first one is known as a major number. Mr. Torvalds just arbitrarily now chooses when this changes. The middle number, 15, a minor number, changes every few months. They base this off a software development lifecycle approach. They add features, improvements, and after a set time of testing, that number will change. The 40, the third number, is patch level. So anytime bugs or security fixes are found, they're added to the kernel and the third number changes. A fourth number is optional. I have it in a different color. It's vendor level patches. These are not controlled by Mr. Torvalds. They're controlled by the group of people or company releasing a Linux distribution. They add their own custom fixes. They add in backports, meaning fixes from newer versions of kernels into the old version. So this number is controlled by a vendor. Speaking of vendors, a distribution is a collection of software, including the Linux kernel, packaged together into an installable form and released for people to use. Some common examples of companies: you have Red Hat, Oracle Linux, CentOS, Fedora. Those are all based off of RPM. A European company, SUSE or OpenSUSE, is also based off of something known as RPM. Most other Linux distributions are based off of Debian. You have Ubuntu, Kali, and Android type devices. So all of these are a different group of people or company backing that releases a Linux distribution. There are more than the 10 shown on the screen. You may find 100 others and more at the link provided. This has been an extremely quick overview of Chapter 1. You need to read the entire chapter. Federal time management standards for a college class. The standard recommendation to make a C or better in this course is recommended you spend 2 contact hours outside of the classroom for every lecture hour spent in the classroom. You should expect to devote 12 hours of reading and lab work per week in this course. This is just a guideline, and you may need to spend more time based on your past knowledge. The PowerPoints in the course are no substitute for reading the chapters.